Hey everyone, we just want to remind you that this is just a silly podcast.
Yeah, like baby games.
Yeah, it's meant to be entertainment. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be funny.
I mean, it's much fun as you can have bitching, but yeah, go on.
I have a ton of fun bitching. Our hate is it's purely hyperbole. There's enough actual hate in the world already. All right.
Speak for yourself. I joined the group.
We love everyone. We encourage you to do the same.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Heck, you gotta try. And now on with the show.
You should be barricaded in your house and kept off of the street, or sterilized, lobotomized, left in a car in heat. Cause the things you say and do tell me your brain cells are wrecked you, and that is why I hate you.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am Matthew.
And I am co-host Joaquin.
And this week you are truly in pain. I know last week you said I am in pain, but
I did.
You did. You introduced yourself as in pain, and this week you are 100% in pain. Joaquin's having some dental issues and needs to go see a dentist, and he's waiting to go. And the trooper he is, he's here recording despite being in massive amounts of pain.
You know, it's funny. This is actually a continuation of when I last went for fillings. It started off as a cold sensitivity, and then one day it just became pain, and it would not stop.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about dentists not that many episodes ago. Oh, I mean, we've only done 7 episodes so far, so it couldn't be too far back. But yeah, we're not.
For us, we've missed some weeks, so it's been a while for us.
Yeah, time frame wise, it's been a while. Last week, the power went out in our area. Just completely went out.
Internet for like 5 hours.
No internet. Oh wait, it was just the internet. That's right, not power. I'm sorry. Internet. Yeah. Internet just went completely out during our typical scheduled recording time, and we were just like, great. Maybe we're not supposed to do this. So I don't know. But I'm sorry you're in pain. I hope you're able to get in tomorrow and somebody could take care of you. I figure out what's going on. So I got a lot to talk about, and I made a list, and it's long. There's like 15 things on this list. I'm trying to cherry pick what makes the most sense. So I want to start with this because it was grinding my gears last night. I want to shout out to Dave Sorensen, who did our new. We'll play it later, but our new music. I was talking to him about the podcast, and he was like, "Oh, it's kind of like the grind my gears from Family Gear from Family Guy." Gear. I was like, yeah, it's exactly what it is. You hear they're trying to build a library in our area. We may have talked about this a little bit or touched on this before.
I don't know about this.
You did not know about this? Wow, good for you. No. Well, you're not on social media, so that kind of makes sense that you wouldn't hear about this. They are having a vote on October 18th, so it's a week from today when we're recording this, to put a library in our area here. So we're in this area where there's this big library system. I don't know if this is common for other, locations, but we have this library system in our area where we can go to a lot of nearby towns. In fact, some quite some distance are part of this. I mean, some of them are like an hour or more away, where we can go to, if you have a library card for this system, you can go to any libraries, check out a book, and return them to any library. So I have a library card for the system, and I can go to any libraries, check out books, and if I'm near one of the other ones, just drop them off there. It's pretty convenient. Now, our library is one of the few, our area is one of the few that does not have a library. However, within, 20-minute drive either way to either the two cities, there are libraries. And the way it works in our particular area is we're able to get access to those libraries. We just have to go through this fucking stupid process to get them. My stance is, I'm all for a library. I love libraries, but I know it's very likely not going to happen. We'll talk about that. But the process right now to get a library card for one of those libraries is you have to go to our town clerk's office when they're available, which isn't the most easy thing to do, and get a letter specifying you're a resident, and then take that to the library to get a library card to be part of the system. So I don't understand why you can't just take your fucking driver's license there and say, here you go, this is where I live, and they can look it up and say, okay.
Updated address, here you go, this is where I live, yeah.
I do not understand, other than our area, our township has to pay the city for each resident that gets a library card. And I think
I
it's
was
something
about to
like
say it sounds like some kind of bureaucratic nonsense to create another step in order to
100%.
get somebody something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just a roadblock, so people go, "Oh, fuck that! I'm not going to bother doing that," or "I don't have time to do that," or
Yeah.
literally just have it be something they can't do because it's not, they work during the few hours a day. You could go get the letter. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a vote in a week to build a library here, and oh boy, if you go based on social media, is that thing going to fail miserably?
Oh
it's
no.
it's bad. You're fortunate because again, you're not on Facebook. The local Facebook groups, and there are two groups locally put. There's one group posting and doing ads on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook for the library, and one that's against it. And oh my God, if you go read the comments on the posts that are proposing this library, you would be amazed at some of the critiques that I have seen out there. So last night, I do my stupid thing and I get on Facebook when I'm not able to sleep, and I go,
Go
and one of
straight to
these
the comment section.
one of these pops up, and this particular post was talking about how it's going to affect the taxes for the area, and they're not building library. They have a location scouted and they're going to put it there, and they've got a budget put together, and they claim, I obviously have no idea, I can't validate whether it's true or not, but they claim that it's essentially extra $10 per thousand you pay in taxes now. So if you pay $5,000 in taxes, you're going to spend an extra $50 a year in taxes to have this library built. And the arguments against this library are very, very many. There are so many people in the comments that are just, yeah, right, it's going to go up every year. And the person or whoever is running this campaign just keeps posting under that it can't go up without a vote and approval. It has to be voted on. There's a step. It's just like the school district. In fact, I believe it's part of the school district budget. They're like, there's a budget. If it
Oh
needs to go up,
God.
it gets voted on and it has to be approved. This is bullshit. No way it's going to only be this much. You wait, in 2 years it's going to be 8 times as much. No, it has to be voted on. It can't go up a single dollar. Number of comments on that route.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh boy. And again, we live in an area where I think the amount of people that read a book on a regular basis is probably pretty low.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no judgment.
Exactly what I'm saying. There's more. No, well, I mean, okay, we all read. If you have a phone, you read.
Sure,
Let's
sure.
just
A book
get that
is
out
what
of
I
the way.
mean.
But no, what I'm saying is, so you might not ever read a book because you always have your phone with you. The only people who are going to be reading books in like the demographic in our area are either going to be children, younger adults, teenagers are probably on the same level as we are, and very old people.
Sure.
Those are the only people that are going to be doing that.
I started reading. I've always read pretty often, but it's typically been on my Kindle, right? I go pick up a book or I find a book on the internet and I use it. But I only within the last couple of years made a concerted effort and went, oh, I spend like 2 hours every night reading shit on my phone, whether it's just dumb articles on websites. And I made a conscious decision to stop doing that and to read a book instead during that time. That is not normal. And there are so many people, the amount of arguments that are, we don't need a library. We have the internet, which
Like, that's dumb.
I understand what you're saying, but it's not just a place to go and look things up, right? It's a resource center. It allows place for kids to go and study quietly and do the work. It's a place for people to congregate and have meetings. It's a lot more than just that.
And people do need the analog like ability to be able to search things up, because I'm sorry, this is something that's wrong with my brain. When I learned Control F, and having a phone you can zoom in, whenever I am reading a book,
you try to do it,
like that thing in
your
the
head,
back of my head goes, oh man, what line was I on? Zoom in. Or I'm looking for this, press Control F. Like, it's just a little voice that plays, but it's irritating.
I have the same voice,
and it's I mean, it's indicative for people who think like, well, we have the internet, so we don't need XYZ. For them to, it's indicative or I'm sorry, it's opportune. It's an opportunity for them to learn to shut the fuck up and realize that their opinions are not completely sound or they're very narrow.
Right. And this is kind of my point. Of course, I posted back a couple times and then I deleted them like 20 minutes later. But that's kind of my point was like one of my friends actually posted and said, no kids use the library anymore. There's no reason to do this. And I posted back like, hey, my kids love the library. Like they do. They love when I take them to the library and they get to take out a couple books. And I understand that that's not necessarily the norm, but that's my kids. My kids do like the library. They like being able to go there.
Thing is that also that sentence that was against that was saying, I don't take my kids to go to the library anymore, or parents don't take their kids to the library anymore. That's what that person is saying, even if they don't know that they're saying that. And my thing is, a library being there, who does it fucking hurt?
Right.
Who does it hurt to have an extra resource? Somebody's going to use it.
It doesn't hurt anybody. And a lot of there were people, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for it. And I in my head, I'm like, okay, schools, like the school district sports, my kids don't yet. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But like when I was a kid, I did not have any participation in the school sports. I could not give two fucks about school sports. I don't know the exact number because I haven't looked it up, but I'm sure it's a shit ton of money we spend on school sports in the district, right?
Yep.
I care fuck all about that, but I understand that a lot of people do care about it and it's important. So it needs to happen, even though it's not something I care about, which brings me into my favorite person in the group that put up this huge post in response to another person. So another person posted and simply said, I hate that I'm talking about Facebook posts on this, but
well, I got one after you. So
one person posted and said, I'm going to vote yes for this. I don't, kind of what you said, like, I don't see how it could be a bad thing to have an extra resource in the area, a place for kids to go, a place for people to go and meet up, a place for people to go and do research, have access to internet if they don't have it. And I really can't understand why anyone would think this is a bad thing. And this woman who I recognize the name because I'm pretty sure she's pretty notorious in posting just dumb shit online, period, on the school groups and other groups. In one issue in particular, she posted a long rant that, hey, this may be great for you, but you're not thinking about the community. We have people here in the community that can't afford this. And it may be a small tax increase to you, but it's not a small increase to everybody. And you're not thinking about the community. You're only thinking about yourself. And I laughed so hard because I very specifically remember this person as being one of the most adamant people when it came to masking in schools and being completely against masking in schools and how their kid doesn't like it and hurts their face. And I posted it for a second, like, you're the motherfucker that did not give a fuck about putting masks on our kids when they were in school during the heat of the pandemic. Because your kid didn't like them or you didn't like them. You did not. And again, this goes back to the same argument you're making right now. You think you're yelling at this person because they're not thinking about how other people feel in respect to this library and that this cost increase is too much for them and their taxes and that they're not going to use it. You're only thinking about yourself. Yep. Bitch, you specifically were going online bitching about a thing. Again, maybe you didn't think masks were going to be helpful, but you're talking about your community where there were folks, maybe by and large, I don't know, but that thought that they were helpful and were a good idea and should be in place, did not give a fuck about that and were ranting and raving. And this was a person who, if I remember specifically, was saying, send your kids to school, tell them not to wear the masks. If an adult tells them to wear the masks, tell them to tell the adult they're not doing it and refuse and just basically give them shit. At the school district level, which is, again, not their decision, wasn't their decision, was a state decision, but give the teachers, the aides, the resource officers at the school shit and get in their face. This is what she preached. And I just could not. I laughed so hard thinking about this dumb woman who is completely arguing the wrong point for the right reason, or the right point for the wrong reason.
For the wrong reason.
Did not understand, I'm sure, in any way understand. She also had a post about how we just want a library in the area. The liberals, not we, I should say, because I'm not a liberal, but the liberals want a library in the area because they want to be able to have books like genderqueer and other books on gender issues and sexual identity issues and want to brainwash kids. And then I went and looked at her Facebook page, and it was covered in Jesus shit. Just big Facebook image, trust in Jesus and all this Jesus shit. And again, we've talked about this, but I'm like, bitch,
Yeah.
you're worried about a book turning your kid gay, and you're all about the Bible.
Okay, with people like that, I gotta say, like, if gay people and gay things weren't right, then gay people wouldn't exist. If like, oh no, that's an anomaly, that's the devil. Again, the devil's not like the supervillain. But going to your point, because I actually had a rant with my wife because I have to repeatedly ask her to just not argue with people online. And if you do, don't bring it to me. That's just too much. I can't emotionally take on you having a dumb argument with somebody online. Now, for you, we're doing it for the show, so you can tell me, I don't live with you. You're not my wife. I did not marry you, so I don't give a fuck if you do. Just if I say, dude, I don't want to hear it, that's it.
Right.
But with my wife, I don't have that luxury. I can't just say, honey, shut the fuck up. I can't do that.
You
That's
can.
just
It just
rude.
wouldn't be good for
Yeah,
you.
it wouldn't go right. It wouldn't go right, and then I'd have new problems. But I do have limited emotional capacity for that nonsense. And so she was online. She didn't have an argument with somebody, but she was relaying to me something that happened.
Sure.
And it kind of sent me into a bit of an emotional tailspin because it was this woman posted on this group on Facebook, of course, that her kid was getting made fun of, called the F word, the burn. I'm gonna say it because I don't care about saying words like that, especially because context matters. But they call this 11-year-old like a faggot.
Sure.
And like all kinds of racial things. So of course,
on top of the sexual things.
Yeah, of course the kid
Jesus.
was upset, and the parent got upset, and they were at a game with their parent, and the kids behind them were being really loud, and the child went, "Those are the kids that make fun of me." And the mother, I guess, either felt like she wanted to confront them or did confront them.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the responses people had were shit like, "Well, my child would never. And if you came up to my kid, I'd kick your ass." Well, first of all, what the fuck ever happened to the "it takes a village" mindset? Now, I don't really believe that every person in the town needs to whoop your kid's ass if they did something wrong, but every person in the town should be responsible with helping that child grow, because you are not growing up in a vacuum. Your child is not going to learn everything they need to know about life from you. You are not that smart. Nobody. Right. Neil deGrasse Tyson is one of the smartest people in the world, says the dumbest shit online.
Yes, he does.
You are not that smart. You cannot teach your kid everything they need to know as they grow the fuck up, and they need to have experiences with other people. And you can protect your kid, but you cannot let your ego be the thing you use as a shield for your fucking kids. And the internet has made it where people will think, well, if I even just feel a little bit off about this, then it is the wrongest thing in the fucking world. So you don't give yourself a chance to change your mind. So this fucking library that people want to build here, I personally don't see a problem. I don't care if they build it. I don't give a shit if they don't build it. We have a fucking power plant up the street that if that shit goes off, we're done. Our property value fucking dropped because of this fucking power plant. But you know what? We might need the fucking power because we have power outages around here. So who knows?
Yeah,
but I'm allowing myself to be of both minds of seeing, okay, there's a pro and a con. Everyone goes, well, there's a con to this, and I don't like this con, so therefore it is evil. That's it. I can't fucking deal with that black and white bullshit mindset.
We've talked about it a lot on this podcast, how binary things are nowadays. There's just yes or no. That's it. There's no gray area at all anymore. It's just one way or the other.
Even with people who claim non-binary statuses and shit like that, are like, don't label me, but I have a million different thousand label, like a million fucking labels that I'm going to put on you and everything. Understand that humans label things. That is what we fucking do. You are not special. You are not magical. Your child's not special. Your child's not magical. Your child is special to you. And maybe some people who care about the kid. Same thing with you. You are special to some people. But at
Not
mass,
everybody.
In mass, understand that nobody gives a fuck about you. And it's not even to be mean. It's not even to say that in a bad way. It's more of a reality check that you are not a shining star.
Yeah, no, that's true. And even with respect to this library, like I said earlier, I think more people are likely to watch YouTube videos online for hours than read a book. I think people are more likely to have a text chain than go hang out and meet in person and have a conversation. Mm-hmm. I think people are more likely to want to know what's going on with the Kardashians than to like learn something practical they can use. That's just reality. That's just the way it is. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, there's no fucking way they're going to end up approving this library, especially not in our area. Where Absolutely. Again, it's like villainous. It's like, how dare you want to put this place where people can go and get free access to information and be happy. Fuck that.
I'm surprised you did not say that people are going to say, well, you know, drug addicts hang out at libraries and we don't want them in our town. That's what I was expecting to hear.
I don't think I saw any of those, but I think that's almost too rational. It's not sensible, but it's rational. Like it could happen. Not like my kids are going to be gay because of the library.
Because of the library, you know? My child learned about gay.
My kid went to the library and he saw this book on the fucking shelf, right? And he looked at it and he was like, hey, wait a minute. There's two men holding hands. And he picked it up and he read it and was like, I want to hold hands with other men. And then he realized maybe he's not a man. And it's all because of this fucking book.
And let's be fucking real. Nowadays, they're not learning that shit from a book. They are learning it from the internet. You know, that thing that we all have.
That was the other thing that made me laugh. I'm like, you know your kid is like watching porn on his iPhone at night, right? Like probably watching some dude ream some chick in the mouth as she's like trying not to vomit.
The 20th time this child masturbates, sees a dick and pussy or whatever genital and go, you know what? I like this one more. This is the thing that turns me on more.
That's gonna happen. Like you can't.
It just fucking happens. You know, I was confused for the longest fucking time. And no, I am not a furry, but I was confused for a long fucking time because of fucking Sally from Sonic the Hedgehog and
Gadget from Chip and Dale.
See, Gadget were people really attracted to Gadget, but I was too young when I watched Chip and Dale where it didn't click. But the girl from Goofy movie.
Oh, yeah, girl from Goofy. I can't remember her name either.
Max's love interest?
Sally from Tailspin? I think that was her name. No, Rebecca.
It just fucked with kids' heads.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're seeing these sexualized, not maybe intentionally, but, you know, they have breasts and, you know, womanly wiles.
Well, I'm saying these people with the black and white mindset, because I'm using my parents, both of them, for this example, I needed them the most to understand myself at that point. And with that black and white mindset, you want to know what my dad told me about when he decided to have the birds and the bees talk with me? Mind you, I had lost my virginity way before that.
At least you got the talk. I mean,
no. The talk literally was he stuck his finger into a cup of water, pulled it up, and a drop went back in. He said it only takes one to get a girl pregnant. Ooh. That was the entire talk.
I mean,
and mind you,
I don't know what to say.
That was after I got caught looking at pornography as a teenager, and my dad threw me across a room because that black and white mindset made him so uncomfortable that it wasn't that, oh man, I need to talk to my child. It was, well, I'm going to have a knee-jerk reaction because I'm uncomfortable, and I'm going to react a certain way. My mother pretty much shit on me the whole time. And then, like, a few years later, they went, well, my dad also thought, well, at least he's not gay. Well, that's not the proper way to do this. Now get it. Generations, they're different time.
Sure.
And we are kind of around the transitional generation where we're kind of like the adults most are like, I don't give a shit.
Yes. Yeah, we are. Which
Like,
I feel
most
fortunate.
of us I think most of us generally don't give a shit if you're gay or not. If we do have a problem, it's when it's flaunted. Like, who gives a shit?
Right.
Isn't that enough that I don't give a shit? The same thing with race. Isn't it enough that I don't give a shit? If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. For me, racism and sexism and all that shit are only viable in jokes. And I mean, again, context matters.
Right.
Being funny, because I believe what George Carlin said. You can joke about anything. But you also have to know who you're pissing off, how much you're pissing them off. Are you doing it for reaction? Are you doing it just because you're being funny?
Right.
Like,
all makes sense.
Like, it all matters. If somebody is uncomfortable, if somebody's uncomfortable and you're in a personal group and you're saying shit like that, fine. I get it that, you know what, taper it. But if you go to a comedy show, when you know the comedian is fucking like a raunchy comedian,
right,
that's a whole different thing. And you went, well, they have I don't like.
Don't go to that show and get pissed at what the person is saying on stage, knowing that's what you're going to see.
Because you know what? We're having this cyclical argument, but acting like nobody's learning anything. The only reason why nobody's learning anything is because nobody's listening to anybody. They're just saying, well, this person is spreading this bad message and it hurts a bunch of marginalized people. And on the other end, they're going, oh, they're just trying to silence us because we can't say what we want and we're losing our freedoms. And they're doing the whole, wrong think thing. It's like, no, shut the fuck up and listen to each other because you're both right. Because both sides are too extreme and going way too fucking far into their black and white corners that they cannot see that if we just stopped giving a shit about how we project our pain to other people, then maybe, just maybe, this podcast wouldn't need to exist.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'd feel terrible if this podcast didn't need to exist. But at the same time,
because humans suck.
It'd be a perfect utopia. Speaking of, I didn't get the birds and the bees talk. I mean, everything I learned about sex, I would have to say I must have learned from media, like in one form, whether it was movies or TV shows or pornography or whatever it was. I mean, it was all from that. Speaking of, we watched Hocus Pocus 1 and 2. Oh, do you recall Hocus Pocus, the movie?
I ended up watching 2 a week ago.
Okay, it was. They actually made a joke about it too. But in the first one, the amount of times they talked about virgins, man, holy shit! My daughter did finally go, "What's a virgin?"
It's funny. I didn't even think about that when I was a kid. I knew what a virgin was, but I just didn't think of how intense it was until I was an adult. And that's They really went in on the whole virgin thing.
And over and over. And they make jokes about it, like how the kid's a virgin and he's ashamed and just gets upset about it when they call him it, but they say it over and over again. She finally, and I was just because with my daughter, I've mentioned I have no problem. I want to be super upfront and candid, but I just was not in the mindset to have to explain it. So I forget what I said. I said something like someone who's never had a girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that, I don't know. I made something up in the moment.
To be honest, that is kind of how they treated it in the movie too.
Did they?
They did kind of.
I was just
super vague the entire film.
I was just so trashed by the constant virgin talk that I was just distracted from anything else that's going on, except the use of one of my all-time favorite words for breasts, yabos.
Yabos.
It's a great word. The little girl goes, he likes your yabos. He wants to see your yabos or something like that. This is the best fucking word. Thora Birch
became a big actress.
Yeah, Thora Birch. She was, and then she disappeared. She grew up and when she was in her teens and stuff, she was super super popular. I feel like the last thing I remember being in was that. Was it Ghost Town?
Toxic. She should be fine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she's
all the more power to her if she just got out because she was ready to get out and made her money. Mara Wilson.
Wilson. I was actually about to say.
She's a great example. She's very vocal about her time.
Is she a teacher now?
I don't think so. She writes a lot still. I think she does some advocacy stuff, but she's very vocal about her time as a child star and how she was into it. She wasn't forced to do it, and then she was like, "I'm done," and that was it. Yeah. And She's great. I like listening to what she has to say when she writes articles and stuff. I don't know. I'm always into what she has to say. Did you see that one of the local school districts had a female woman? I
A
hate
female woman, yes.
female woman. Well, I misspoke.
Yeah.
Female. I don't like to say female because that's
Apparently that's
I
derogatory.
was told a
I
while ago that
guess.
that's derogatory because it's boils down to sex because a cat can be a
But
female.
then
You're a
is it
woman.
derogatory to say male then?
I don't
By
know,
that,
dude.
I don't know. I'm
I'm just following
honestly
the
like,
rules. I'm just following the rules. I'm just trying to
oh,
follow the
we
rules.
have, yeah, more rules.
Somebody told me once that female wasn't good because a cat could be a female. She's a woman, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
Okay, I saw this. Somebody actually, this is what brought me up to that really. Just I'll let you finish your point, and then I'll get back to it. But that actually leads into it. Apparently, there's a book. This woman cited it. I have to find the book in order to cite. It would be nice if we had a library here to be able for me to be able to find this book. But there's this book written by this woman that says, it's female came in because it's basically derived from slavery, so women could be more as property,
Sure.
and things like that. Again,
Okay.
then as a black male, wouldn't male have used for the same thing? And maybe in the book it is addressed, and
Right.
that's fine. But I'm like, but the thing is, the nature of language changes, and just like how female now created this derogatory term femoid, made by incels, which is basically closer to, I guess, the original use of the word female than what we use in
Yeah.
modern day.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess it's trying to take it's trying to dehumanize.
Okay.
And I'm just like, but again, language changes. If we are so willing to accept language changing, then why is it that you're bringing up this thing so you can downplay the use of the language, when the person more than likely who said the word female is not meaning it in that way, and they're not being derogatory?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's always been my argument with pronouns. With it's new.
Yeah.
I'm an old dude. I'm trying my best. Like, just don't get mad at me. Like I have goodness in my heart. I want to do what you want. If I make a mistake, just let me know. Hey, you made a mistake. You don't have to like attack me for it. I'm trying my best. I want to do what you want.
My I've run into this in a minuscule argument with my wife, because being married, you argue.
Sure.
And
oh yeah, of course.
My wife and I had a disagreement about how to go forward with a certain situation, and I had to quietly say, because I was frustrated and I didn't want to actually fight, and she was emotionally like built up and it was stressful for her, and I said, I don't know how I can be supportive and also disagree with you. And I realized that kind of goes into the larger, like, the way I feel about the larger scale of everything, and most people don't like doing this, is even if I don't disagree doesn't mean I disrespect you. So, like, for instance, I'm going to use this as an example. This isn't actually how I feel, but if I have a trans friend, which I do, so I'm going to use them as an example without you saying their name, and I don't understand the mode in which they feel the way they feel, and I think it's kind of silly that they're changing their pronoun. But I respect them enough as a person to do my best.
Sure, absolutely.
Is it enough for me to have done that against how I personally feel, or do I have to try to completely brainwash myself or convert the way I think in order to to make them feel better about my internals? Because I would sooner trust a person who's racist and is trying to not be than I would somebody who just claims they're not racist.
Right. No, okay, so I would argue that it's better to be trying, because repetition makes habit anyway, right? I mean, if you're trying and you're doing your best over time, you're going to change your habit. You're going to be more responsive.
It won't matter.
It won't matter anymore. So, I mean, and as with anything, and I don't want to try to marginalize or minimize, the effect it can have on somebody to say, call them by the right pronouns. But as with anything, it's like pretty new and things take change, right? They take
Mm-hmm.
time to progress. So you're not going to get on anybody's good side by just straight up attacking them and saying, you have to fucking call me what you want to call me. And if you don't, you're a piece of shit, period. Or what I
Mm-hmm.
want you to call me. And if you don't, you're a piece of shit. I said that completely wrong, but I think you get the point.
Yeah, I think it still makes sense. People know what you mean.
I think we've talked about Sam Harris before, but I read another one of his books last night. It was a short one. It was like a really, really short one, Letter to a Christian Nation, in which I finished. It was really short. Didn't take more than an hour and a half, or not even, to read. Which he claims he's talking to Christians about why they should not be Christians. But I finished the book and I'm like, clearly you wrote that for all the aggressive atheists out there like you to read and be
Yep.
like, yeah, you're right, yeah, because
Get
you're
him,
not
King.
you're not going to change any Christian's mind by going, you're a fucking moron, you're stupid,
Yep.
stupid person. This, you shouldn't be stupid, you're stupid, don't think that. You're not changing anybody's mind with that argument. It's not.
Yeah.
So it's the same point. You're not changing anybody's mind when you're going to be super aggressive and all in, like that, and it applies to just about anything. But anyway, so yeah, I was just gonna mention the young woman who played quarterback for one of the local sports teams, and it was like really celebrated as this great thing. And I was like, okay, but are we forgetting about all the shit that's going on with football and like the injuries and the head trauma? Like I forget the quarterback, the Dolphins quarterback that like got concussed in a game. They put him back in, then the next week he gets concussed again, and he's like lying there seizing and shit. And I just like laughed because I'm like,
it's absurd. It's a circus.
It also makes me laugh because there's probably a lot of overlap. Like probably a lot of, maybe I'm generalizing, but I think a lot of people that were like, this is great that a young woman played in a male sport as a quarterback, are probably also people like, football bad. It gives people brain damage. I just thought it was funny because I'm like, oh, great. So now young women can get brain damage too.
I was for the longest time completely against, the intersectionality of sports. And I just like, as time went on, and it's not even due to the evidence or any of that shit. I just went, you know what? Fuck it.
Whatever.
Just fuck it. Let anybody who feels they have an aptitude for a fucking sport, let them try it. If they get hurt, they get hurt. Because guess what? We do that shit anyway.
I thought you were going to go down the gender road. I was like, oh my God, I can't even begin to get into gender politics in sports because
gender
I'm not
is
smart
part
enough.
of it, though. Yeah, no, gender is part of it. Let them fucking do it. As long as they're not cheating, as long as they're not doping, which I guess we're okay with apparently, as long as they don't die, which we're still kind of okay with. Let them fucking do it. If we see an MMA match with with Brock Lesnar versus fucking the twinkiest little skinny badass woman they have in MMA right now,
and she wants to go fight, just fucking
let them fight. And if he knocks her the fuck out, let him knock her the fuck out. If she fucking breaks his neck, let her break his fucking neck. Because he doesn't really have a neck, but what I'm saying is, regardless, let it just fucking happen, because nobody gives a fuck about the safety of people. We're just okay with the status quo we built. That's it.
They're adults too. I mean, if they want to do something, let them do it. Who am I to tell them no?
Exactly. Anybody has the common sense to go, because I'm a dude, so I am capable of fighting Brock Lesnar. Do I want to do that?
No.
Fuck no. That man is bigger than my doorway.
Yeah. No.
Why would I want to do that?
But if you wanted to, I'd say, Joaquin, all the best luck to you. You can do it.
I'd come back, no teeth.
You wouldn't have any dental problems anymore then.
I know, right?
Save that. It's this, everything's kind of flowing nicely together, because you were just talking about doping and stuff. And I wanted to briefly, and this is from a couple weeks ago, but the Judge record, Aaron Judge, and this is probably something like me that you really don't give a shit about when it comes down to it, because I don't like baseball that much anymore. I used to when I was a kid, but you probably are familiar with this. Some people listening might not be, but Aaron Judge broke the AL record for the most home runs hit in a season, and the only people on top of him are three of the guys in the National League that were just completely fucking roided up during their time. Sammy Sosa,
he
Mark
was
McGwire,
very roided up too.
Yep, and Barry Bonds.
Yep.
So the three of them are the
See, I
ones
don't know
sitting
about
above him.
Bonds, but
Well, Bonds. Oh yeah, Bonds. I believe, and again, this is just my understanding. Do not know if I'm right. My understanding was that McGuire and Sosa were just roiding up, and Barry Bonds eventually was like, "Well, fuck this shit. If they're doing it, then I might as well do it too to keep
see,
up."
I always thought, and because I was younger and I don't care about baseball really, but I do remember Sammy Sosa. His whole shtick was that he was supposed to be like the clean good boy before he's this weird plastic man he is now,
He definitely roided
and
up.
and he got all these records, and then they found out he was like doping and shit.
It might have been
And
after the fact. You may be right, but yeah, he was definitely doping up and roiding up too. And I read an article that was like talking about, well, I mean, if you're going to say that their achievements aren't achievements, well, then what about the couple players on the Yankees during the years they won their pennants or their World Series championships that were? And I'm like, okay, well, then you're comparing a whole team to one individual, which is
Yep.
not the
That's
same.
unfair.
It's not the same argument.
It's
But
a false
anyway,
dichotomy. It's literally a false dichotomy, and never trust anybody who does the well they're doing it argument. That's the most elementary bullshit.
one of the biggest cruxes of the argument he made was just like, cheating's always been part of sports. It's always happened. It happened, and you just have to accept that it happened, and people cheated, and they set records, and that's the way it is. As if, like, you can't go back and look at it and go, yeah, that was fucked up. Just like we were talking about earlier, you were saying this kid was getting called, slurs and stuff, and I'm thinking in my head, God damn, was that, like, just a regular thing when we were kids? Like, saying the F word to another kid. Like, kids did that constantly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, and again, this is arguing to the point of the people that I don't like. Everyone's way too fucking sensitive. Even them. Everyone's way too fucking harping. They're so fucking busy focusing on those little fucking things and distracting each other with those little fucking things. Yes, it's a bad word, but kids, teenagers especially, say shit like that to get a rise out of people. They're still testing the waters like a 2-year-old.
I was this tiny little, I was short until I think like 11th grade. I finally grew. I was very, very little. I had like pretty longish hair. The amount of times I got called gay slurs or a little girl, constantly.
And mind you, I'm not doing it well, it happened to me, so it should happen to them. I'm not doing it that. No, it shouldn't happen to them. But let's not take it further than what it was.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make the comparison like that. Yeah. That was normal then, and now it's not normal.
Yeah.
Like we can look back and say like, yeah, it wasn't necessarily a good thing that I was getting made fun of and called those things all the time. I mean, did it do? I don't know. Like, did it damage me? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Did it hurt at the time? I might have
some insecurities. I might not take my shirt off when I go in the pool.
I don't go in pools, period.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's just a tepid water filled with other people's filth.
My kids are kind of ashamed of me.
I think my kids are ashamed of me too.
Dad, why do you not go in the pool? It's like, Dad just doesn't go in the water.
I don't think
everyone else does. Can you at least put your feet in? No.
I don't think we've ever talked about this. I'm exactly. I do not go in the pool.
I did. Yeah, I didn't know you were like that.
I don't think I've been in a pool in like 15 years at the least. But yeah, I do not go in the pool. I don't go near pools. We go to my in-laws. They go swimming in the pool. I sit inside in the air conditioning.
Same here. Exact same here.
All right. So we opened up this episode before we started talking to each other going, Joaquin's in a lot of pain. We're going to try to keep this short. We are 43 minutes in and have not introduced our topic yet, as usual. Oh, one more thing. I got to send you this video and I'm going to post it online. My wife went to Target and there was an animatronic of a skeleton playing the guitar. And somebody took his hand and put it down by his crotch. So now when the animatronic goes, it just looks like a skeleton jerking off.
Of course, that's your sense of humor. That's so something that you would just find so fucking funny.
So funny. I laughed for like an hour when she showed me the video. And like, it was even better because she showed me the video and like, she took a video and it wasn't working. It wasn't doing the animatronic shit. It wasn't moving. Yeah. And I'm like looking at it like, I don't understand why you're showing this to me. And then as soon as it started doing it, I just broke out laughing.
Oh, I'm sorry. We are going to start, but I do have to say this just because you said that. So we have this stupid inflatable dinosaur at my house because my wife insisted on getting a sprinkler like for the kids, and the kids don't even fucking use the damn thing. So the water goes into the legs of the dinosaur. It's like a T-Rex. So you have to pour water into the legs. So
Okay.
now it's bottom heavy. But you have to blow, it's inflatable. So
Oh, the costumes.
to blow up the rest of the dinosaur. It's not a costume. No, it's an inflatable like water sprinkler. Like
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about those
mouth.
inflatable dinosaur costumes.
No. So the legs are full of water, and you have to inflate the rest of the body.
Okay.
But the little blowhole, like the thing you have to blow into to fill it up with air.
Oh, I know where it is.
Inner thigh.
So you're blowing a dinosaur.
My wife was insistent. It was like 90-something degrees outside, and the kids wanted to play. The pool broke. It was one of those weak, flimsy plastic things.
Sure.
So the kids can run around in it. It broke. So my wife insisted on getting that at the time, and I refused. I fucking refused. Not because of where the hole was or anything like that. Just sure. I thought I didn't like the idea of her even buying it. Okay. She's the one that told me where the thing was. How did I know? I walked outside and instantly started recording on my phone. On my phone, there's a video.
Okay, you send that to me too.
I said, I can't wait until your mother sees this. My wife caught me taking the video, and she gave me the finger while she was blowing this dinosaur.
Well, after they went to Target yesterday, my wife took them to Spirit Halloween because my daughter loves creepy Halloween shit. And she comes home, and I shit her piano lesson last night, so I was driving her home. She's like, "Oh, when we went to Spirit Halloween, I saw Barney the dinosaur inflatable costume," and I was like, "Oh hell no!" It's like, wait, what did you just say to me? And then I was like, wait, Barney the dinosaur, and she's like, yeah, he's creepy. And I was like, yeah,
good.
I don't understand. You always have liked creepy stuff since you were a kid. Why do you like creepy stuff? And she's like, well, I stopped having nightmares. And I was like, wait a minute, you had nightmares about them? She's like, well, yeah, but not as much anymore. And it's like, well, I'm so you're telling me I've been a horrible parent. I thought you liked this stuff. I was like, I guess it's okay. She's watching kind of creepy little videos and things online that she likes that are a little dark. Not like overly bad, but dark.
Yeah, it's just things that are creepy. But I feel like that's natural, and a kid needs to see shit like that.
Oh,
but
I think so.
I love horror, so that's... Which, speaking of, I saw Hellraiser on Hulu.
Oh, I need to watch it.
If you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. I need to watch it.
Really fucking good.
I'll check it out.
But my daughter's into creepy shit, but she has night terrors like I used to when I was a child. And I used to have nightmares about Freddy Krueger, and now Freddy Krueger is like my favorite slasher.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter,
turn it around.
My daughter, she has nightmares, and she now came up to me for Halloween. It was just like, Dad, I either want to be a zombie or a creepy doll, and I think she's tilting closer to creepy doll. So now I got to go to Spirit, and I got to do her makeup, and I got to get. She's like, I want pigtails, and she just wants to set it all up. And I'm sure she's gonna want to have her hair straightened for it. Either that, or she says she wants to get it as frizzy as she can.
I would go frizzy. I think it would look better frizzy. It would just be creepier. It would look cool.
And she's gonna have so much fun because when I do the test makeup, I'm gonna like darken around her eyes and stuff. And my son, he's being super difficult, not because he doesn't know what he wants, but he's so specific about what he wants.
Yeah,
he wants to be Ben Solo.
Really?
And I'm not talking about like Kylo Ren in his armor.
I get it. He wants to be Ben Solo.
And so I'm like, so I got to get you a wig, do the scar, get a black sweatshirt, cut it up so it's like hanging off of you.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like I have to go do the full thing when I could just buy a Kylo Ren costume. But he doesn't want that. I had to buy him a blue lightsaber just so he could be Ben Solo.
My son wants to be Mickey Mouse for like the third year in a row. Like, come on, do something else. Do something else. That's easy.
Your son is a very simple man.
It is simple. It's easy.
Manlet.
Whatever. All right. Anyway, let's get going here.
It's time to begin the complaining.
Oh, thank you to Dave Sorensen, fellow Ice Cream Social Scoop. That. It is dope. It's so good. That's our new intro music for the theme song. If you recall the early days, it was a little bit of a mess, then we stopped doing it. But that's our new one.
I think the Excedrins finally kicked in.
Oh, good. At our 48-minute mark as we introduce our topic. I don't know how much we'll go on this topic today, but it was fresh on my mind today we're talking about I do my own researchers, one of my favorite groups of people. So I started to tell you this story off air because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get into it. And then I went, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just do it on air. So I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine the other day, and I mentioned to him, I'm not even going to get into the specifics. Let's just say vaccines came up, and I said to him something along the lines of like, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't get vaccinated for COVID. Not judgmental or anything, just like, oh, I figured you probably would have. I don't give a fuck either way at this point.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I figured you would have. And he started in on me about like, oh, dude, like went down this rabbit hole of why, oh my God, I can't believe you should really not have gotten the vaccine. I did not want to get it. I didn't get it. And I stopped him immediately. And I said like, hey, dude, this shit kills friendships. I don't want to get into any sort of conversation
I'm glad you
like
had
this.
the mental maturity to say
I know.
that too.
I know. And like, anything like that with friends, it depends on the friend. Like I have a friend who is, I think I mentioned before, he's very, very Republican. And I have great conversations about politics with him. Great conversations. Because we both have the mental maturity, I guess, as you mentioned, to have that conversation, understand we don't have to judge each other completely and hate each other because we may differ on some things. But this particular friend, I was like, this is not something I want to get into because there's no good that can come of it, right? It's not even like just general politics. It's just a conversation. You're on one side of it. I'm on the other side of it to a degree. And that you definitely didn't want to, and I thought I'm going to go get it. I don't want to have this conversation. And he went down and went on and essentially used the, I did my own research argument. And not a dig at him specifically, but it made me start thinking about the people that say I did the research on anything. It might be the fucking library that you're going to put in our area. But I can't. Why do people have to say things like I did my own research? Because when somebody does research, to me, it means one of two things. Either the really true definition of the word and that they performed experiments to test a hypothesis and either proved it right or proved it wrong. So like, we'll talk about vaccines. Like you literally went out, did clinical trials on vaccine to see what it did, see how it worked. And the results came back and you processed them and you figured these things out yourself, that it kills thousands of people and gives thousands of people this issue and that people and blah, 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 blah. Or at the very, very least, you went and looked at the studies done by people, actual clinicians, scholars, doctors, read the reports and came to conclusions based on that. But that's not what people mean when they say I did my own research.
They said they're saying I searched the internet and found something that coincides with what I think is right.
Right. That's what people mean when they say they did their own research. I wish we could come up with a new word for that. Because the word research should have some level of sanctity around it. And that
we probably should.
It should have this backing where when somebody says I did research, we understand that a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of actual tests and studies went into what they're saying when they say they came to a conclusion based on research.
Instead, people, I feel, should say something like, I ruminated on this, and this is what I came up with. So I thought about this.
Something like that. Okay. Yeah.
Because overall, because we all are biased. We have our biases. That's how we survive as animals.
Absolutely. But, I agree.
It's kind of insane that, again, and this goes back to that weird religious rant I went on last time, that we're so presumptive in what we know. We just fucking know everything. The dumbest person can say so much shit and say nothing at the exact same time. Hell, I could be speaking bullshit right now.
I was just gonna say we could have been doing that for the last 53 minutes for all we know, right?
Like, yeah, the only thing is my frustration with it is real, and I absolutely agree with you. Like, nothing. I don't care what your belief is. I have friends who believe in conspiracy theories, especially according to the vaccine. I have friends who fully believe in the vaccine because of their life experiences.
Sure.
So I don't judge either one of them. I mean, one of them I'll go, you might not want to cite this person because they have known to do this bad thing.
Yeah, not exactly the best source. Right.
Yeah. Like I will do, but it's not really judging you, more so just asking you to think more critically about your ideas.
Sure. No, that makes
Because
100% sense.
yeah, people
So,
get mad scientist syndrome.
well,
They really do.
well, what I told him was, hey, that's cool. The way I came to my conclusion, I got vaccinated. I got a booster. I might go get another
Mhm.
booster. I don't know. Um, the way I came to my conclusion was the doctors that I see that I trust the most. There are a couple different doctors I see for different things, but the ones, the two that I trust the most, that I've been seeing the longest, that have always taken good care of me, always give me the best advice, always taken the time to really show that they care about me as a patient, and they're not just trying to get me out the door, recommended to me and said, yeah, you should absolutely go and get it. That was enough for me. That was all I needed.
Yeah.
Hey, they're doctors. They know what the fuck they're looking at when they read these studies, because I've looked at them. I have no fucking clue what I'm looking at when I try to look at some of the studies that are put
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
My brother has a friend that's a doctor, and she posted a post. He was telling me about this, so this is hearsay, I guess. But he said that she posted a post with a study and was like, "Hey, here's a study on vaccines," and kind of outlined like, "Here's on page this is what they're saying." And my brother said he looked at it and was like, "I have no fucking clue what she was talking about." But I
Yeah.
took her word for it because I trust her. So that's how I came to my conclusion. I didn't do my own
That's
research.
all we can do. We can trust the people who understand it.
That's my point. Was I did it based on, and you know what? I could have had doctors that I trusted very well that maybe told me not to. It could have happened.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
So that was just my experience. And that's how I came to my conclusion. I was like, hey, I don't have a better way to come to a conclusion on this other than to trust the people that I know what they're doing or know what they're talking about. And in fact, when I saw my neurologist, who I've been seeing for years for migraines, and has helped me manage that for, I don't know, probably 10 years now. I saw him recently after I had COVID, just not that long ago. And he said, hey, you should go get a booster. And he was like, now's a good time because you just had it. You're much less likely to have any symptoms from the actual booster because you had COVID. And he's like, so if you want to get it, now's a good time. Of course, I didn't yet which is just because I'm fucking slow getting anything done. So at this point, it probably has my having COVID probably doesn't have any effect on it. But I don't know. It's just, and it applies to so many things like religion, politics, like I said, building a fucking library, like the people that are on there going, no fucking way this is accurate as far as the taxes. And I'm just, okay, well, do you have anything that says otherwise? Because they're putting up their actual outline of what things are going to cost and how it's going to affect the tax rates. Do you have something that says otherwise? Do you have a proposal for another library that's similar in nature, that's more money, or that shows something else? Like, where's your research, so to speak? Like, I know that's not case. And that's not even people saying I did my own research. That's just people just spouting out other, counterfacts without any backup.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's crazy how, like, when Trump became president, we started seeing or even during the actual run to president, we started seeing openly, like, people jumping to, like, different, like, pendulums on what they want to believe, and the misinformation train was, like, high octane.
Yeah.
And, like, when that started, I mean, it existed. It never went away, and those people never were in the cut anywhere. But they ended up going, like, full throttle, especially online, during that time. So you would get so much information that's true, that's untrue, that might have some truths in it, just all over the fucking place, that confusion became the main driving force of any political stance. So as soon as you hear something, you have to jump on your fucking bandwagon. We, to this day, have people arguing flat earth. And I'm not saying people who believe in it. I'm saying people who argue it. The fact that it's still a conversation. The fact that people are still engaging in this fact when, let's be real, how does that fucking help your life in any sort of degree? Tell me, if the earth is flat, okay, the earth is flat and the government has been lying to us. What does that help?
Nothing.
We already know the government lies to us. We fucking get that part.
It's very true. We've known that for, I mean, that's been an ongoing thing for decades and decades and decades of that being, a common perception, right? That the government lies. I just finished a book. It's one of those books where the content's really interesting and yet the book is boring. But it was an author I like. He utilized the Freedom of Information Act and the National Archives, the National Library. I don't know if it was the same thing, but essentially we just looked into Cold War stuff and what we did during the Cold War and the Korean War and the crazy shit we did with bioweapons and stuff. And the conclusion he essentially came to was that the government started and like did one bioterror attack and then literally just put out used a campaign of terror to make it seem like we were using biological weapons. Like they just drop insects in a field somewhere and have people freak the fuck out and think that they were like, had some sort of germs on them, or they just drop random feathers across an area and make them think that they were spreading mold spores to crops. And like they just did that forever. It didn't actually have to use any bioweapons. They just freaked people the fuck out in Soviet Union. But same thing. It was like the government was saying we weren't doing any of that shit. We didn't use any bioweapons. And here there's all these papers, CIA paper stuff proving they did. And then I want to go back to another point you made. There's a great book called The Constitution. I had to look it up. The Constitution of Knowledge. It's by Jonathan Rauch. That is essentially another book, great content, boring to read because it's very long, but exactly the point you were just making. And it's a great book on that point that the right learned that disinformation and confusion was their best offense, that it didn't make sense to argue anymore or to bring up a point. It's just to make people so fucking confused they didn't know what to believe. And the left used it goes the other way and argues that the left used wokeness and woke politics and cancel culture to get their point across and do what they wanted to as well. But great book on how that evolved, like you said, during the run up to the 2016 presidency and after, and how politics went from arguing points to confuse the fuck out of people or cancel them if they didn't agree. And that's it.
The thing. I didn't even know these books existed, and I was able to notice that shit.
Yeah,
I'm not,
because you're a smart dude.
I don't think I am, but I feel like I'm observant.
I think you're smart.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's why I do this podcast with you. It's me. You make me look smarter by affiliation. My dumb ass comes off a little smarter.
See, don't do that. You're organized. You got your shit together in comparison. But I just a matter of perspective. But overall, it's just like I didn't know those books existed. And mind you, I'm not even saying books aren't something you should use or to cite. I'm just irritated by the fact that people will cite a book, but there's so much. Anyone can write a book.
Oh, absolutely.
The Bible exists. And then people argue the Bible. I've heard televangelists or evangelicals say the Bible was never changed. The fuck? Are you serious?
I just mentioned I was reading Letter to a Christian Nation last night by Sam Harris, and he's got a whole section on the Bible and how Christians are fucking stupid because the Bible has all kinds of dumb shit in there, and if you believe that shit and don't abide by it, well, then you're stupid. As if we didn't already, everybody doesn't know that there's slavery and fucking incest and all kinds of terrible shit in the Bible. But yeah, he has a whole section, a whole long section talking about how the Bible has so many dumb things in it, and you're stupid if you believe in the Bible because it's got that dumb shit in it.
Being in and out of church, speaking in a very good conversations, having conversations where we're saying, this is actually to the I do my own research people too, because the Bible goes into this. Not the Bible itself, but people. Talking to pastors and reverends and bishops and ministers. And asking them, between, Bible verses and parables and things going on and their interpretations, they're like, well, this isn't literal, where that is literal, where, Jesus was just trying to do this. God is just trying to do that. And I'm like, wait, where does it say in the Bible that, hey, disclaimer, this is just a story I am telling, so to give you an idea of what to do. It doesn't say that at any point in the Bible. It's actually a very bunch of confusing shit. Actually, The Bible is very specific that I shouldn't wear certain clothes and eat certain food and have a very specific diet, but I can wear, if I wear this type of linen, I can wear this, but I can't wear this color of this. It was very specific. I heard James Earl Jones on a fucking road trip to fucking Disneyland speaking in the Bible, and it was just him fucking rattling off things I cannot do.
Hey, at least you got a good voice.
I know, right?
Let me ask you this then, because this is a point that stuck with me that I wasn't sure about. Do Christians believe that the Bible is the literal word of God? Like God wrote down the Bible?
It depends on the person to believe it or not. I'm sorry, not even the person.
My thought process on the Bible was simply that it's written by people who are interpreting what they thought God was saying to them, which gives room for fallibility, right?
Yeah. The first, okay, so there, there's a New Testament and Old Testament. And
sure.
Like the denominations I went in, there's New Testament, Old Testament. Old Testament is technically like the Torah.
Right.
But then I guess there's a divergence there too, because I'm not a scholar in this shit. I just
that's the way I understood it too. Yeah.
But then the Jews was just like, that new book, Jesus was a nice guy, but that isn't ours. And so that became New Testament, and Ham and his brother, they argued, and it just kept splitting.
Then Joseph Smith came around and brought along part 3 of the
and
Bible.
not think about King James fucking up shit and it being translated into different languages, which here's my biggest thing about the Bible, and I'm going to go back to your question. The Bible not being changed is that there are in languages are not a fucking direct translation to one another.
Right. It's
so
impossible.
The word sheep could just mean in another language could just be four-legged fluffy animal.
Right.
That's a bunch of words to say this one thing that we have.
Right.
So it doesn't translate directly.
Sure. No,
there's certain words in Japanese that don't exist in English, or vice versa.
In German. Yeah, German. There are words that do not exist in English, period.
So fuck, how do you think that is a direct translation is beyond me, because you have to have faith. But anyway, so to your answer, it depends on the person. I didn't mean that. I said that without really thinking. It depends on the pastor, because every church, at least that I've been to, they praise their pastor. In the Bible, it says, God, there shall be no gods before me, no idols.
Right.
And yet these fucking people idolize their reverends and their pastors. Those pastors and reverends know that they're idols. There's a fucking dickhead who complained because he couldn't get a car he wanted and brought that shit to his congregation and was able to manipulate them and get sensationalized on fucking the internet.
Yeah,
that character existed in fucking Don't Be a Menace in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. That was a fucking character in a scene. That man really did that. So So to answer your question, usually it depends on what the pastor has been teaching the congregation.
Okay.
Because,
there's no hard and fast
it's not
rule.
insulting enough to be called a fucking sheep. They have to actually think like them too. So, oh God, that gets me so angry. And my toothache is making me really aggro right now.
Yeah, I get it.
But going to I do my own research. My dad was the person, he was just like, when I was questioning the Bible, when I was younger, he said, you know what, you need to read it and come up with your own relationship with the Bible. And so I did my own research with quotations. I read it. I don't remember anything from it.
Is literally to do you're actually doing research on a topic. You're talking about the Bible. You went and read the Bible. That's researching the topic.
That's what I'm saying. But then the thing is, the Bible is a source, right? Well, are those sources? How do you know those sources are legitimate?
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Go further in,
right?
And I don't have the time, nor the patience, nor the interest to go that far in, because God is this all-knowing, all-encompassing being that apparently is stopped by fucking free will, but then he forces people to do what he wants.
Right.
Fuck that. I don't need to do all that.
No, I get it.
And I'll go online on TikTok, of course, because it's the worst fucking website, quick website to see the funniest and shittiest things. There was these people, I sat and watched for 20 minutes argue about Islam. And I'm not talking about the political, I'm literally talking about the Quran and the religious aspect of it. It was just this Muslim man arguing with a former Muslim, but they were just arguing back and forth. But they were so busy, and because they sounded very well read in what they knew, and they were trying to be respectful in the words they were saying, but not in tonality. So like one guy would be like, well, in the Quran, it would say this. And he goes, my brother, check this out. This is not what they said. They said this. And it would just go back and forth. And I got hypnotized by it.
Right.
But I realized I wasn't taking in anything they were saying. I was just amazed that they all said so many words, and it sounded like they knew what they were talking about. And they sounded like they were well researched, but didn't listen to each other and didn't take a fucking thing in so they can directly either question themselves or have a direct answer to what the other one said. They were just too busy trying to get the aha on one another.
That kind of gets back to, I think, I'm trying to think of the core of why I hate it so much. Why I hate the people that do this so much. And I think that's what it does. It shuts down an argument for me. I can't have it I shouldn't say argument. That's not the right word. A debate. I can't have a conversation or debate,
any civil discourse,
or have any civil discourse on a topic with somebody if they just go, well, I did my own research and this is the way it is because I researched it and you didn't. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you did the same thing I probably did, which is you read some stuff on the internet. You read some articles on the internet about it. You didn't do any actual research. You went and, like you said before, read some things on the internet that agree with your point of view. At least I try to look for alternative points of view in other aspects when I'm thinking about a specific topic. I'm not saying I'm good at it or I do it very well. I'm sure I bias myself all the time. By the way, quick throwaway: Sam Harris did manage to throw in some hate on Islam in
of course
Letter to a Christian Nation as well. Which again, I was like, why is there a whole section here where he's bashing Islam again in a letter about Christians? And I don't get it.
Because he gets off on that.
He definitely gets off on it, and he's a good example of, I think, I do my own research. Yeah, because he's a neuroscientist, but then he's like spouting off on topics that I don't think have a lot to do with neuroscience, or he tries to make them seem like they have something to do with neuroscience, and they fucking don't.
It's funny because Sam Harris, I think I've heard him speak since you last spoke about him. I saw a small thing that had both him and Ben Shapiro. I even think I brought up Ben Shapiro before too.
Yep.
And I realized between the two of them, they both exemplify the I do my own research type, but where Ben Shapiro seems disingenuous as fuck, Sam Harris actually seems genuine.
He does,
in
and
what he thinks he believes.
It scares me though, but it's
fucking scary, right?
And the problem I have with him too is I have now read 3 or 4 of his books. And every single one, they were all more or less about religion and morality. He's just regurgitating, and this is another one of my hate you topics, but he was regurgitating arguments that were already put out before him by other thinkers. Because I've read Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins, right? A lot of atheist books back in the day, and he's regurgitating their same arguments, and I'm like, bitch, you didn't come up with these. It has nothing to do with your background. And he's a smart guy. He's got credentials behind his name, which scares me too, because it leads more credence. So when he goes out and just says my voice just cracked.
I thought you did that on purpose.
All Muslims are violent. It's just blanket statement. And not even like, I'm not being. You may think that maybe I'm just generalizing. No, I mean it. I mean all Muslims are violent.
I think I've heard him basically say that, and then he
backed might have it mentioned
up with. It. Yeah, he backed it up. He was like, "It's in their doctrine."
Right.
It's like all religious doctrine
has something, right? Well,
says that shit.
Well, look at Christians. They cherry pick shit, right? Like there are Christians that are totally 100% cool with homosexuality, although the Bible says it's whatever,
The Bible is weird about it because it literally says man shall not lay with man as he does with woman.
Right.
That's okay, the line. So, that's the one throwaway line.
In general, Christianity says homosexuality is bad. I don't think I know a Christian that I know personally. I mean, I've seen him online, obviously, I've seen him ranting, but I don't think any of the Christians I know personally are homophobic or we've talked about how that's a bad word, but hate homosexuals in general. So it's the same thing. Like the book says that violence is good. So anybody who is a practicing Muslim must be violent. Like,
It's
his
a
arguments
false
are so
equivalency.
right.
It's a false equivalency.
But it drives me fucking nuts because he's a guy, like you said, he sounds genuine. He's got the credentials behind his name. He's very calm and very muted in the way he puts his topics. He doesn't get super agitated or super argumentative or super aggravated. And it's like, it just bothers me. But Ben Shapiro is another one. I think, like you said, they're kind of the epitome of the I do my own research persona. Hey, you haven't mentioned it this whole time. I just want to bring it up quick. Do you notice my eyebrows are like really?
I noticed there was something weird, but I was just kind of noticing. Like, I was trying to look, and I was like, "Did he get a haircut?"
Yeah. So
like,
I went and got my
beard looks a little different.
Well, I went and got my haircut. I think last week. Yeah, last week. And I went in and I was like, usually I just go, he does like a 2 on the top, fades it on the sides because I'm thin on top. So he does 2 on the top, fades the sides, makes it look a little better, straightens up my hairline, then brings my beard down. And I was like, you know what? I want you to give me that, like, I don't want to talk to him look. I'm just going to leave that guy alone look. So I was like, leave my beard longer and pull my hair down. So I just look like this bald dude with a beard. People were going to look at me and be like, just walk the other way. And he did it. So then I got home and I'm like, oh, my eyebrows are really thick, like extremely, because my eyebrows get crazy bushy, and I usually trim them. But I whipped out a new trimmer I had, and I just went, zzz, and I didn't realize I didn't have the guide at the right setting, and I just basically buzzed off my whole eyebrow. Like, it was like nothing there.
Like, I just want to look like powder.
That's what I want. So fucking stupid. But it was like 4 or 5 days ago, so they're kind of darkening a little bit. I looked so fucking dumb with my
Give
eyebrowless.
Me the Uncle Fester after a
bender. Perfect description. And I went downstairs, and my wife was kind of looking at me, and I was like, "Yeah, yep, I did." And my daughter came up to me that night. I was laying on the bed. She came over, and she goes, "What'd you do to your eyebrows?" And you know what? It was one of those situations. I did one, and I was like, well, what do I do? And I was like, I guess I got to do the other. I mean, what am I supposed to do in that situation? It's a weird situation being where you've just shaved off basically all of one of your eyebrows and the other one's still there. What do you do? Do you want to look the same and both look stupid, or do you look even stupider maybe with one right and one wrong?
I understand how you feel, even though I didn't shave my eyebrows off. I understand. I don't know if I told you this on the podcast, but I was cooking on the grill because that's what dads do. And my friends were over. We all had a beer.
I know where this is going.
I had a beer. You know, our mutual friends were there, and my kids were outside. And I was like, "Hey, son, stay away from the grill. Don't be running around because you're gonna burn yourself." Now, mind you, I needed to put more lighter fluid in the in the grill. The coals were burning, but they just weren't like catching the temperature. I accidentally left the vent open on the side. I meant to close it, and I forgot to because I was too busy telling my kids to stop. And so I opened the front panel, and I went to put lighter fluid in, and created a oh god! I created a vacuum. And it was just like, hey, buddy, you need to stay away from the... And everyone's froze. And I guess I was sweaty enough and I backed up fast enough, but the flames, like, what my friend told me was the fire encompassed your whole upper body.
Oh, Jesus fuck.
Like, you were just covered.
Oh, and I
didn't see it because I closed my eyes like a smart person might do. Not like I was thinking at that time.
You were looking at yourself like, this is weird. Uh-oh, but my eyes are boiling.
I was just looking down and everything was cold. And mind you, it was like, it was like 80-something and everything was cold. And my son's staring wide-eyed. And he goes, "You were on fire." My son was like 3 at the time.
You were on fire?
You were on fire, Dad. And I look, and all my hair, like I had a full beard at the time, was
gray. Singy? Oh, gray. Okay.
It was all gray. No, and my eyebrows were gray. I had no eyelashes. I had like little lumps on my eyes.
Oh, I think you've told me that part before, that your eyelashes were...
Oh, yeah, my eyelashes burnt off. And I have really long
Ooh.
eyelashes, so that was
Yeah, me
rough.
too. It would be weird it would be really weird to not have eyelashes. Because, yeah, I can't imagine how weird I'd look.
My lips would
Oh,
burn.
I know exactly how weird I'd look.
Like the first degree. Exactly. So, but what I did was I wiped my eyes because my eyes were dry because there was fire on them. And so I wiped and gray like globs of hair came off. And then I wiped my eyebrows and they just vanished as I wiped.
Oh, so you had no eyebrows too?
I had no eyebrows.
Well, at least you got both removed at the same time. You didn't have that decision to make. Because, like, I've been shaving my head for a long time, but I used to have it a little longer, and there were a couple times where I buzzed at the wrong length, and it was shorter than I wanted, and but it's like, like, not a big deal. It's like, I guess, because it's normal. People have buzzed heads. People typically have eyebrows. I don't often see people without eyebrows, unless, they're going through cancer treatment or something like that. Oh, is it like a legit
a lot of manic
style?
pixie chicks do that now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was a goth thing for a really long time. I think they still do it. But manic pixies do it now. Oh, fire truck.
Ooh, oh, do you like to grill up again? They heard your
story. I live across the street from the firehouse.
My fucking eyebrows. I don't understand why anybody would. I don't know. I'm just looking like of people with no eyebrows, and it's just a weird look. I don't know why anyone would voluntarily do it.
For not having eyebrows, I wish I had my cat at the time. Only so I would just start acting like him.
Glue some hair on.
Just like bad expressions, like not expressing well at all with my face.
Oh yeah, it's hard to express. Like those I guess women and men that draw on their eyebrows.
Yeah. And they draw them like they look permanently surprised.
They always look surprised, or occasionally one's up and one's not, and like permanently look like The Rock.
An offensive _90s like Asian character.
Yeah, exactly.
Like no matter what race you are, if you do that, that's exactly what you look like. You look like you're in a perpetual state of going. You just always look like that's what you're doing.
Stroking your beard.
Oh, really?
Oh fuck! Oh my god!
Yeah. And lastly, when you talk about shaving, my razor died because I have my Manscaped razor, and I shaved my
you've
head
got one of those special Manscaped razors.
I fucking love that.
I saw an ad the other day on Facebook where they touched that thing to 2 water balloons filled with water, and it did not pop the balloons. So I'm thinking I'm not going to have a blood geyser on my hands next time I shave my balls. If I get one.
The only time it'll catch you, and this is out of all honesty, if you used it for way too long.
Oh, that makes sense. It's any clippers, though.
Because you have to replace. Yeah, exactly. You have to replace the thing. You have to be mindful of like.
I mean, have you ever cut your balls?
Yes,
man, that shit bleeds.
Times.
It's like a face wound.
I do it in the shower, and I'm just like, I guess I'm gonna be in here for a while.
Yeah, there's nothing else you can do. It's either that or have
ointment on it.
It's either stay in the shower, or wait for it to stop bleeding, or get out and just have a fucking trail of blood running down your leg.
But I use it on my head because I get razor bumps really easily.
Yeah,
so in the shower, I'll use it on my head. So I'm using it. And I guess it's getting old because I've had it for a few years, and it died. Like I had it on the charger, but
like
it just
mid shave.
So I look like Kanye when he did his new like a new haircut. We just looked like he fucking put his head in a lawnmower and just went with it.
I've had that happen before when I had a cordless clippers where it died in the middle of me shaving my head, and I just had to sit there for a while.
Just wait for it.
Fucking weird ass head of hair.
Mine wouldn't charge, and I was just like, I look fucking insane. I guess I'm wearing a hood all day in the summer.
Yeah, well, then you go buy another one at some point, and you can fix it later.
I have to ask to go buy one. I don't have an allowance. I don't got money of my own.
I guess you could just
a joint bank account, bro.
You can use a Bic. You could use a Bic.
No, I get razor bumps really badly.
Yeah, but would you rather have razor bumps or a bad weird haircut?
Fucking weird haircut. Have you ever had really bad razor bumps?
So I when I say shave my head, I pretty much always just buzzed it. I did a handful of times to bick my head, and yeah, it was bad. It was not good.
I bicked mine in the Army. Somebody suggested I did it, and that was the worst shit ever.
Yeah, it was not comfortable, and it felt awful. And like you said, that razor bump
was terrible.
Yeah, it's weird.
It was just cold and just painful.
Yeah, it's weird.
And when your hair grows back and you still have the bumps growing in them.
Even when you're feeling and you feel your forehead and you're like moving your hand to the side and it just doesn't stop. Like the feeling of skin smoothness doesn't stop. It's just constant smoothness. It was weird. It was weird to me.
Rain or sweat. Because you didn't realize, even if you have thinning hair, if you sweat,
Yeah.
that shit catches it.
Well, I was glad that I had buzzed it down this low because my dryer didn't blow. What happened was like the dryer vent portion had been like we had been shoving it in and just pushing socks down farther and farther, and eventually they got their way into the blower motor, and it was so. Anyway, I had to take the dryer apart, and I was sweating my ass off, and I thought the same thing. I was like, oh yeah, I don't like have this weird sweaty layer of hair on my head, from the really short hair, because it was just
dripping down.
Yeah, it was just it was. I was like, I guess I kind of prefer that. So I don't know. So we got off topic a little bit there. We were do your own researchers, but I needed to bring up my lack of eyebrows.
Well, I had to do my own research on Bix, so now I know it's just not to do them.
Oh my God! You got anything else you want to talk about? Any more barking about doing my own researchers?
No, I will say even if you're not into anime, I'm not really into anime. I used to be an anime kid, so I have a warm place in my heart for it a little bit.
Yeah, I thought you still were.
No, really not. I like Castlevania and Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I just saw the last 2 episodes.
Oh, I did start playing Cyberpunk from the beginning again. I think we talked about that.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm gonna start it. I did start it from the beginning. I'm playing a female nomad.
Well, I had purchased it through Stadia.
I'm sorry, a woman nomad. I'm sorry.
So there you go. Look, you're learning though. You're learning. I had purchased it through Stadia, and Stadia shutting down in January.
Yeah, you don't understand. I felt bad, but I will be a liar if I didn't just feel a little bit of catharsis.
Thanks
from sending you that message about Stadia.
Well, you know what it is? What bothers me?
I did.
Stadia is a perfect example of Google. Great product, terrible marketing and PR for the product.
Yep, and they will drop it like a fucking hot rock.
Like they had a great product on their hands, could have been fantastic, and they should have just licensed it or something. I don't know why they didn't
let another company run it.
Yeah, they just did a shitty job promoting it and getting it out there, and of course it failed. And it's funny because even as little as like I think 2 weeks before it shut down, I had seen posts from Stadia accounts, like social accounts, saying like, "No, we're not going anywhere. We're still here." So I will say the good thing is they are refunding all hardware and software purchases, which is unfucking believable. Like it's unheard of.
You know what? No company, not even Nintendo, who does that shit a lot too, would do that.
No, it's unheard of.
Good luck with your empty peripheral.
Google is a gazillion dollar company, but this is still going to take a huge chunk of change out of their pocket to do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's negligible in the long, but it's going to be a big fucking amount of money to pay people back for all this hardware and software. So I have controllers I bought. I'm glad I'm getting my money back for them. I have a couple games I bought. I will get my money back for them. I won't get my money back for the pro subscription I paid each month, which is I'm okay with because.
Do you know if they're making you give the Stadia back?
No. Right now, the ongoing debate is whether or not Google will Bluetooth unlock them so they can be used as regular controllers. And
that would be best.
Yes, because then they won't end up in the fucking ocean like everything else, which is my line for everything. I try to sell anything I'm getting rid of. I try to sell it first. I try to find somewhere another home for it because I say I don't want it to fucking end up in the ocean, which at this point, I don't know why I care. There's already so much garbage in the ocean, but I don't want to contribute more garbage to the ocean.
No, dude. I think the main reason at least people our age care so much because our kids are going to have to fucking deal with it.
Yes, they are. And it's just, I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. The amount of shit that gets thrown out on a daily basis that I see, it's just crazy. So I try to rehome stuff. I've seen two sides. I've seen people saying, yeah, they're totally looking into it based on Google sources. I don't know where they did their research, but I've also seen a couple. I saw an article where a person actually did a breakdown of the components in the controller and said that it only uses a low frequency Bluetooth mode because it primarily relies on Wi-Fi to work. And because of that, they won't be able to change it to be able to use as a regular Bluetooth peripheral. I don't know. I'm hoping they do because I have 4 of the fucking controllers that if I can, I probably won't use them all as Bluetooth controllers, but I'll give you one if you would use it. I'll give them to people that might be able to use them as a regular Bluetooth controller. So I hope not, because that's just a lot more fucking garbage. They'll say they're going to they'll have a recycling program or some shit, but what will they do? They'll take, maybe the precious metals out. maybe they'll take the precious metals out, that like negligible amount of material, and then throw the rest of it out. So I don't
No,
know,
I
but
absolutely agree.
yeah. So I started playing again, and I just left it on default. I didn't change my character. I think last time I did like a custom woman character, and this time I just did the default male character. And I don't even remember which tree I picked. I just was like, I don't care. I just want to play the game. I just need to get the
Yeah.
game. It's good. I'm enjoying the game, and finding that I played it about a year ago, I guess, and I'm kind of remembering the storyline, but I'm like, oh yeah, that part's happened. Okay, that's what's happening
Yeah.
now. I remember this now. So it's nice. It's not like I'm just totally repeating myself.
Yeah, I wandered around a bit in my like post game character, and then I was like, I'm gonna play the ending again, and I realized how much I fucked up during my gameplay that I have to start the game all over again.
What
It's
did
like,
you do?
oh, well, because there's a specific ending I wanted, and I messed up my relationship with Johnny Silverhand, so I can't get the full like ending. Because it's not even like the
Okay,
ending,
I get it.
it's the road to the ending. I don't want to sacrifice anyone else to do the end,
I get what you
so I'm
mean.
gonna do it solo. I want to see how intense that is, but I can't fucking play it.
Got it.
So I think I'm probably gonna either go to an old save and just start playing the game from there, or we'll see how
What's
it goes.
how long is the main campaign?
I don't know the numbers. I
I'll
just
look it
know it
up.
took me a long time.
Old howlongtobeat.com. I love that site. I occasionally will use it to figure out what game I want to play next, because I'll be like, oh, something's coming out that I want to play in 2 months. And I'll just
Yeah.
say, okay, well, this only takes X amount of hours. I should have plenty of time to beat that before. Anyway, yeah, you know what? I'm looking at my list, and we got through just about everything on my list I wanted to talk about. We only left off 2 things: the argument of being racist versus being ignorant, which we'll talk about another time, because
Yeah.
I saw it come up somewhere, and I thought it was an interesting thing to talk about. And my phone fucking broke, dude. My phone,
Oh.
just like everything related to the connectivity just went to shit. I was trying to listen to an audiobook the other night, and it just kept cutting out over and over again. And I was like, oh, that
Wow.
sucks. And then the next day I was using it, and I watched the Wi-Fi icon kept disappearing and reappearing, kept disappearing, reappearing. Then I got in
Oh,
the
so the
car.
antenna might be broken.
Yeah. And then I got in the car, and I was going to run an errand, and I watched it go to LTE, but not give me data, and then go back to 5G. And then in places where I would typically have 5G. So they're sending
Yeah.
me a new one, but I was just, it's supposed to be in another couple of days, but it's like totally fucked. It's pissing me
You have a
off.
Google, right?
Yeah. I was disappointed. I thought it was weird that all that at once, but then I thought maybe they have one radio that does everything just to save space in the phone. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, a little teaser maybe for the next episode. Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that racist versus ignorant argument, because I thought it was interesting. It's not something I really thought about before, and I can't even remember where the fuck I saw it, but it something that stuck in my mind, and I put it on my list.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you for listening. This was not as long as some of the last couple, but still pretty long. So, thank you if you made your way all the way to the end here. I want to give a shout out and say thank you again to Dave Sorensen for that new
Thank you,
audio
sir.
clip. I asked Dave if he may consider redoing the theme, because he knows what he's doing, and we might get a better, we would definitely get a better rendition of the theme song out of him. So we'll see if that pans out at some point. But thank you for that. Please send us a message on Twitter or Facebook, or shoot us an email, and that is why I hate you.com. I know some of you guys are listening. So if you're listening, get a couple minutes, send us a message. We'd love to read on air, whether you agree with us about something or you disagree. Something we've talked about, something you think we should talk about. We would welcome that kind of what am I trying to say here?
Feedback.
The kind of feedback. There you go. That's the word. Words just leave my brain anymore. If you like the podcast, share it with a friend. Let somebody know. If you hate the podcast, share it with an enemy. Let them listen to it. If you follow us on wherever podcasts are, leave a review. That's helpful too. And that's my spiel. We should have, and that is why I hate you.com. The new site up shortly will be a little more useful. I don't know. Probably not a crazy amount more useful than the standard bullshit one that the podcast platform puts out, but maybe a little more.
It's a home.
It's a
Even
home.
if it's a ramshackle shack.
Yeah, that's the goal. An easy place to send messages and listen to new episodes, get information, that kind of bullshit, right? All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Hopefully, it'll be next week.
All right, take care.
See what happens. Woo! I don't know why I did that. Sound like an idiot. I feel the need to say shit during the outro music because there's no words.